Three of you. Yes, hi. So our Lunch and Learn presentation today is on HR and benefits and retirement and all of that. So I want to introduce Mary Morton and Ruth Eretz, right?
Yes.
And I'm not sure.
Denise McLean. Denise McLean. Denise has been with the college for a long time now, but she's new to HR. So.
Okay. All right. And so we're going to learn a little bit of all the behind the scenes here. So if you want to get started.
All right, so I'm going to share the screen now, so you're not going to be able to see us probably anymore from what I understand.
And when Ruth's doing that, can I just mention, now that you see faces here, so Ruth is the primary benefits administrator in our office, so that should be helpful to you. And Denise is the employment coordinator. So I see Cheryl's there, right? So if you are working with Interview Exchange, or you have search committee questions, or any type of employment related question, Denise is generally the person you would speak to. Ruth is the person regarding benefits, and Brenda Little is busy doing payroll, but we also have a major payroll function in our office, and that would be Brenda Little who can help with that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, let's see if I can do this.
Yeah. Share screen.
From the beginning.
Can you all see?
Yep.
Perfect.
All right. So just a cover page here. A note that, of course, the information that we have here is based on contracts in New York State and federal law. You had asked about an overview for benefits. So we started with benefits eligibility. We have eligibility for benefits for both part-time and full-time people. Part-time people must be 50% or greater. In here at Delhi for faculty, if you teach 6 credits or more, you are indeed benefits eligible. All right. There are 3 different retirement options: the employee retirement system, teacher's retirement system, and the optional retirement plan. The first 2, ERS and TRS, are essentially the old-fashioned pension, you know, like our parents or some of the people today, I have to say grandparents, were in, you know, years ago, and they, you know, when they retired, they get a monthly check from their pension based on their years of service and the average salary. That's essentially what ERS and TRS are. The rules are different depending on which tier you're in. In tier 4, which probably most of you are in, it's 36 consecutive, your best 36 consecutive months of salary. They take that average, and then the number of years of service. The calculation is the same, but in tier 6, it's the 60 consecutive months of salary, not 36. They increase that. Takes 10 full-time years to vest. ERS and TRS are defined benefit plans, which means that the benefit is defined, and that's defined by the years of service and your average salary. The optional retirement program is considered a defined contribution plan. The contribution is defined in any case, whichever plan, there is a contribution by the employee, again, depending on tier. Right now in tier 6, the employees do contribute for their entire career, and the amount they contribute is based on their salary. It's a percentage of their salary. That's why it's a defined contribution. The optional retirement plan is essentially invested in the stock market and mutual funds. So the employee contributes, as well as SUNY, or the employer in New York State. And then there's a pot of money there at the end. And so however much that is different depending on, you know, how people invest and how long they had and all those things. The vesting period for the optional retirement program is 366 days as opposed to 10 years with the other programs. The other retirement systems are 10 full-time years. It's prorated if you're a part-time person. With the optional retirement plan, it's 366 days, and those are calendar days. So even an adjunct, as long as they're not, you know, termed and off the payroll, it's 366 days. If they are termed and off the payroll for a period, which happens, it just extends the period. When they come back, it resumes where they left off. So it's 366 days, does not have to be contiguous days. Once somebody is vested, they can see the money in the optional retirement plan. For the first year, the money comes out of the employee's check, and the contributions are made by the state. But when they enroll in the plan, they have an account and they do not see that money. There's a zero balance for that vesting period. Once they have satisfied the vesting period, they will see an entry in their retirement account that says employer contribution, and it'll have an amount, the whole year worth, and then employee contribution and the whole year worth. And then every pay period thereafter, there will be 2 entries, one saying employer contribution and one saying employee contribution for those amounts. Did you want to add something, Mary?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I just wanted to explain explain ORP, right? The optional retirement plan, because you may be more familiar with who the vendors in that plan. So in ORP is TIAA. So I'm sure some of you may have that. VALIC is another vendor, Voya, and Fidelity. So you have access to any or all of those funds. You can have only TI-CREF. You can have any of the 4. You can have however you want to cut it up or carve it out. And the other thing I wanted to say is, as Ruth mentioned, it's based on the stock market and your investments in the stock market, and you have complete control over how you wish to invest. If you want to be a conservative investor, a moderate investor, or more of a risky investor, you have all those options yourself, and TI-CREF and other vendors will provide support. So they have analysts and they have representatives that come right here to SUNY Delhi and provide one-on-one and group presentations. But they're also available for anyone who's online. You can simply get in contact, probably the best way, with Ruth, and Ruth can give you who it is that you might be seeking to speak to, and they can set up either Zoom conferences or phone conferences with you to help you with your retirement election. I just wanted to add that.
Yep, that's good. So full-time employees must join a retirement system, and part-timers may join the retirement system, and they could join at any time. The tier depends on the date in which you are first enrolled in a retirement program. All right. Okay, so with full-time people, it's immediately the date of hire. With Tier 6, employees may retire at age 63 without a reduced benefit. With other, you can retire as early as 55, but there is a reduced benefit with ERS and TRS. So, keep that in mind. If an employee is not with the state or SUNY for the full 10-year vesting period, their contributions can and will be refunded. Okay. So here are those percentages that I was mentioning before. I had emailed you as attachments the benefits matrix, and in the retirement part of that grid, it does show this chart as well. If you're interested, I'm not sure anyone here is in Tier 6, but that's what Tier 6 is these days.
What is the date, the Tier 6 date?
It's 2012. It was April 1st of 2012. So if anyone enrolled after that date, they would be in Tier 6. All right. There's some tax implications. So employee contributions are not reported as wages for federal tax, but they are reported as wages for New York State, local, and Social Security. So they're giving you a little calculation here. It's interesting because if you work less than 20 years, the factor is 1.66. 20 years is 1.75. Anything over 20 years is 2%. In order to make the math easier, I always use the 2%. So if someone were to have worked for 25 years in the retirement system, they're getting ready to retire and they're wondering how much they're going to make in retirement or how much they're going to get in retirement. 25 years times a factor of 2 is 50. That's 50% of their best consecutive. And here it's saying 60 months of service, and that's because it's talking about tier 6. As I mentioned earlier, tier 4 is 36 months of service. So depending on your tier, these rules are a little bit different. With tier 4, you can retire at 55 so long as you have 30 years of service in. If you do not have 30 years of service in, there is a penalty for retiring early. Again, I have that information I could share with you separately. But it looks like here they're given a calculation, 15 years of service if you retired at 63. At 63 is the age where there's no penalty, so that's what they're showing you here. 30 years of service at age 63. It's pretty significant what the difference is. As you can see, for 15 years of service, it's about $1,933 a month, and at 30 years of service, it's $2,000 plus a month. So it's quite a difference. All right. Prior service credit. So if someone, maybe worked for the state or the county or a school district or state government or a different SUNY or something that might have been in New York State public employment, you can get credit for prior service. I know that when we have student employees now, we do encourage them to enroll in the retirement system just because they would be locked into that tier if they were to enroll now. Some do, some don't. But if you, worked as a lifeguard at the town pool, or were a student assistant or a graduate assistant, or, worked in state service, there is a way to recover that. You would have to pay because there's a contribution that, you pay for your first 10 years or for your whole career, depending on the tier. And then you would also, there's paperwork in order to do that. So there is a mechanism for getting prior service credit, and I guess that's really the point here.
Can I have a quick question about that?
Sure.
When do people usually do that? Like when they're getting ready to retire, or is that something people should think about doing earlier?
Sooner the better.
Okay.
And I say that because, we have Allen Residential Center, which is nearby here. They were like a juvenile detention center, and they had closed, so sometimes it's hard to get, people to relook at those records. And if it was way long ago, they might be in storage somewhere, and it might take several months, maybe even a year before, you get any credit for it. So I wouldn't wait. If you're considering that, I would recommend that you do it when you think about it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Disability retirement, it provides income for those who are permanently disabled. You must have 10 years of service. And there is also accidental disability. Those are through the retirement system as well, just so that you know they're available. There are survivor benefits. After you retire, they're different. So what you're seeing here is for somebody who is in active service, if they pass away while they're employed, 1, 2, or 3 years of salary. So that's that. But then the retirement piece, it does reduce over time, I guess that's logical. Sick leave calculations upon retirement. So I know there were some retirement questions among the questions that were posed to us. One of the documents that I did attach is how to navigate to the online sick leave calculator. There's many steps to get to it. They hide it. It's not easy to get to. That's why I typed out the steps. But if you can have up to 200 unused sick days, as you know, and that can convert to a credit towards your health insurance and retirement. So what the calculation takes into account is your salary at the time of retirement, the number of sick days you have that are unused, and your age at retirement. And I'm sure they're probably calculating how long they're going to need to provide this credit to you. But the credit is established at the time of retirement, and it's fixed. It's that amount for the rest of your life. That's what it is. The other piece that goes with the sick leave calculation is, they call it annuitant, a single or a dual annuitant. And what that means is, do you want the credit for only your life? That's a single annuitant. Or do you want the credit to survive you if you should predecease your spouse or partner, whatever? If you choose the dual annuitant, the calculation for the credit is about 70% of what it would be if you had chosen the single annuitant. So anyway, I encourage you to go try to take a look at that sick leave calculator. If you have any trouble with that, you can give me a call and we can do it together on the phone. I think most of you are remote, and I'd be happy to walk you through that. There is some significant savings. I've done a number of retirement meetings, and there is significant savings to be had. And just so you know, in 2018, the premium in retirement for an individual for health insurance is about $125 a month. And for a family, we don't have a two-person, even in retirement. So a family is about $487 a month. And in retirement, you can change your health insurance, adding a dependent or removing one once in a 12-month period. So each 12-month period, you could add somebody or not. And of course, life events, clearly you can make changes for if somebody passes away, clearly they're going to be off your health insurance. And there are survivor benefits. So even though it's your health insurance, if you pass first, your survivor does still get benefits.
So I have a question. Do you have to be participating in health insurance at the time of retirement?
Great question. Thank you. So you need to have been with NYSHIP or NYSHIP eligible benefit,
Which is the New York State
Health Insurance Program. But NYSHIP eligible for 10 years in order to be eligible for health insurance in retirement. So if you've worked at SUNY Delhi for 10 years or more, you have been in a full-time or more than 50% or more than 6 credits, all those things, then you were NYSHIP eligible for 10 years. And then at the time of retirement, yes, you must be enrolled in health insurance on the day you retire. Not the year before you retire, not 6 months before you retire, but when you retire. So you would need to enroll in health insurance benefits so you are enrolled on the day you retire in order to have health insurance benefits in retirement.
Ruth, Ms. Kirsty, I have a question.
Sure.
I haven't looked all the way through the slides, so I don't know if you're going to bring this up. So I'm not at retirement age yet, but I had looked at, based off my salary now and number of years of, the service, I used the retirement calculator to look at the discount per for the insurance in retirement. The question I have is, I also have in front of me, I think this was either UUP or you guys that sent it out the other day, which is the productivity enhancement program where you can use sick days in order to pay for your premium.
Right, but it's not sick days, it's actually vacation days.
Oh, it's vacation days. Okay.
Yeah, so that might not apply. Faculty don't earn vacation.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
so this doesn't apply?
If you don't earn vacation, it doesn't apply.
Okay. All right, thanks, that answers it.
Okay. And then the second bullet here says up to 100 days of unused sick time is included as service credit for those members of the employee retirement system. So if anyone is a member of that, there's a double benefit. You are double dipping. You get to use those sick leave, unused sick time twice.
So if I can understand that. So if I'm 100 days from having 30 years of employment,
Right.
I could retire 100 days earlier.
No, you can't.
I can't, and this 100 and this 100
Because
won't?
it can't hit a threshold. It can't hit your 10-year vesting, and it can't hit your 30.
So
It can
how-
hit 22 to 23.
Nope.
It can hit 24 to 25. It can hit 28 to 29. It can hit 31 to 32, but it can't hit the
the
threshold.
milestone.
Right.
Did you get that?
No, can you clarify that, please?
So there are certain thresholds, like 10 years is vesting, so that's a threshold. Those 100 days can't help you get to your threshold. It can be after your threshold. It can be from, 11 to 12 years.
So once she has 10 years,
That's good.
she has 10 years in one day, she can use up to 100 days to add to her time that that would be added to the calculation for how much you would receive in retirement. So you're getting an extra 100 days added toward your calculation,
Service.
as long as it's not one of those milestone years, like 10
The
years.
10, 20, 30,
10, 20, 30,
essentially.
I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks. Better? Are you good?
All right. Supplemental retirement savings programs. There are a few vehicles here to save for retirement. The first one is the tax deferred annuities. As Mary had mentioned before, just like with the optional retirement program, we have the same vendors with the tax deferred annuities, TIAA-CREF, Fidelity, VALIC, and Voya. They are pre-tax contributions. So what happens is you have the money taken out of your paycheck. When you withdraw that money later is when you would pay tax on that. Similar, the deferred compensation works in a similar fashion. There's no employer match. These are not a retirement. These are your savings. This year, just in September of 2018, they actually SUNY added a Roth option to the voluntary savings options. Roth behaves exactly opposite of the tax deferred annuities. So with the tax deferred, you do not pay tax now and you pay tax when you withdraw them. The Roth, you pay tax today, and all that you put in there and all of the growth on that Roth account is tax-free. Now, again, there are, requirements. It has to be in there minimum 5 years. You have to be a certain age and all those things. But so long as you meet those stipulations, the Roth, you pay tax on the money today, and then whatever you put in as well as the growth over however long it's in there is tax-free.
And I understand a lot of this can be complicated, right? Especially if you're hearing it for the first time. I do recommend speaking with one of our vendors. We can't give advice. You have to be licensed, right? So Ruth and I can't provide advice. I have talked to colleagues and asking the question, well, why would I want a Roth? What would make that beneficial to me? And so those are some of the questions you might want to ask a licensed vendor. But some folks had, for example, there are maximum amounts that you can put into pre-tax, right? And so if you're an employee who's already contributing the max, Roth opens up additional opportunities, investing opportunities, so that you can put more money away. I've had friends say, that they've inherited a large sum of money that they would like to, put away for the future. So there's different things that you might want to talk to a consultant about. And there's no obligation. You could call and contact each one of these groups, by the way, and you may not be participating in any of them. You might ask Voya what they have to offer to share with you. You could share your portfolio and they can come up with some ideas. You don't have to sign on. There's no obligation. You could call VALIC and say, well, what can you do for me? Fidelity and TIAA. And just gather that information and get further, deeper learning. So don't feel that you have to sign up with any particular group before you do that.
Good. So UUP retirement programs. Okay, so for full-time faculty who have term appointments, I think we already went over this. It's a one-time election unless the employee becomes first eligible for a different retirement program. What that means is really TRS is the one that's really for teachers. ERS is for employees, but faculty have all three options. It's interesting because classified people have only one option, that's ERS, but faculty and professionals have the two options, ERS or the optional retirement program, but teachers are the ones who have all three as their options.
What does teachers offer that the others don't?
That's a great question. They're very, very similar, TRS and ERS. TRS has a mechanism for handling sabbaticals if a teacher were to go on sabbaticals. But ERS is the one that offers those 100 sick days adding to service time. So, and TRS does not offer that. So those are the only distinctions that I'm aware of.
But at this point, I can tell by the folks who are logged in here, they've already made their election. So they're already in one or the other.
Right. Optional retirement plan, we talked about this. It's the same exact chart as for the others. So I'm not going to spend much time here. 366 days, we spoke about that. Once you're vested, the funds are placed in your fund. The earnings are subject to the value of the stock market, essentially. Again, these employee contributions are not reported as wages for federal, but they are for New York State, local, and Social Security. Same as the others. When it comes to disability, SUNY does not have a short-term disability program. SUNY is very generous with our sick time. So we're encouraged to bank our sick time if we were to need to take time off for, some reason. However, if you would be disabled for 6 months or more, you're eligible for up to 60% of your salary and up to $7,500 a year. And that's on the benefits matrix that I sent to you, the disability coverage, and that's at no cost to you. All right. That's that part-time piece down the bottom.
The part-time piece is probably the dollar amount, 14,430, is subject to change as their salary increases. In 16, 17, and 18, you'll see that number going up. So
Contractually, yeah.
Yeah, contractually. So you can check with us again.
Yeah. Up there's what I just told you, 60% up to $7,500 a month. Yeah, and it does end when you're 65. Family and Medical Leave Act. So that's a federal law, and it entitles employees, eligible employees, there are rules around that too, to take up to 12 weeks of unpaid job protective leave during a calendar year. And it could be for your own disability or medical reason, or for that of a family member. There are reasons listed below, as you can see. There are always also rules around deployment of a family member in the military. So you can use it for that reason as well. So 12 weeks in a calendar year. There are forms. We do ask that you let us know as soon as you can ahead of time. The forms do ask for a medical provider to give us some information about what the prognosis is and the period of time expected to be out and those kind of things.
So on FMLA, I think the two important things to know is it protects someone from losing their job, right? And it also, for up to 12 weeks, and it also mentions that, can you just go back to the one slide? I'm sorry. That it's unpaid, 12 weeks of unpaid. That's required by law, but it doesn't mean that you can't use your accruals. You certainly could. You would probably first use any sick accruals you would have, and then any other accruals. Faculty only have sick accruals, but someone else might have a vacation leave and then personal leave. So it can be unpaid, but we can also allow you to use your accruals, so it doesn't have to be unpaid.
And we've had folks, a number of people who have used the FMLA, and we work very closely with whoever the person is during that time. And, if we project that they might run out of accruals, we have ways to, maybe only go to half pay or 3/4 pay, or, what can we do to help them remain on the payroll? Because obviously everybody needs some income.
Yeah, I think this is especially important if someone's going out on maternity leave. If you can contact our office, Ruth, as early as you can and she can do some calculations to see, do you have enough to cover you for that time? Is there something that we can do to do the stopgap so that you wouldn't actually come off payroll and come off health insurance? Because I'm sure you have a newborn, you probably going to want to have health insurance, right, for yourself and the child. So the earlier we know, that better we can help you plan. And there are various mechanisms that we can do, as she mentioned, to help extend your time on payroll so that you don't lose health insurance.
However, with FMLA, you are protected for those 12 weeks, that you will not lose your health insurance. Even if you're going in non-pay status, you would continue with the contribution that you make as a paid employee. So that does not change. Typically, when you go off the payroll, you go into a full pay situation with health insurance. And I don't know if you know, but we only pay probably 15% or so of the whole premium. So it would be quite a large bill. So that, certainly is something we work with our employees to help avoid. But during the 12 weeks of FMLA, the health insurance premium remains constant. So that's good.
But leave beyond that.
Yeah, leave beyond that.
You want to have those conversations with us.
Right. Paid family leave is brand new in this most recently ratified UUP contract. There was a letter that was sent home, and I got one too. So I have one here in front of me, but essentially it provides employees with paid time off for the reasons that are mentioned there. It does go into effect in January of 2019. The way this works is there will be a payroll deduction out of everyone who's UUP and MC, their paychecks, to help cover or defray the cost of this. The annual maximum deduction, so it's going to be dependent on your salary, right, because it's a percentage. But for 2019, the maximum deduction is $107.97. The potential benefit in 2019, someone could take up to 10 weeks or 50 days of leave, and it would be at 55% of their average weekly wage. It is capped at the state average weekly wage, so of course there's rules there too, right? So part-time employees, I'm going to be attending a webinar in the next couple weeks on this. SUNY is presenting a webinar that's going to give us more detail on this. But there are eligibility requirements as far as how many weeks that you work and all that. So we'll know more. I will know more after I participate in that webinar. But this is what we know for now. Health insurance. So this is the New York State Health Insurance Plan. It's for active members, active employees, as well as retirees. You could enroll in either the Empire Plan or HMOs. There's a variety of them. And the Empire Plan has 4 parts, as listed here. The effective dates of coverage, there is a waiting period from the date somebody is hired. There's a 42-day waiting period, so it would become effective on the 43rd day. Once the waiting period is satisfied, there's no pre-existing conditions or anything like that. You're just insured, so that's nice. Proof of eligibility is required. We need birth certificates and social security cards for all the enrollees. If there's a spouse, we need a marriage certificate that shows that's the evidence, I guess, of that relationship. There's different rules for domestic partners. There's a separate form, and there's other proofs that are required for that. Dependent children can remain on health insurance until age 26. They do have a young adult program, but it's at full cost, so I don't know if that's much of a deal. But UUP is the one who does the dental and vision, although it is a state provided benefit. You used to have to provide the student verification form, and just this year, UUP said, "No, we don't need that form anymore. We're just going to keep the students on." So if you have a student who is in that 18 to 25 year age, you no longer need to provide that proof for vision and dental. So here are some of the things that I just mentioned a moment ago. Pretty standard. Yep, the Empire, and then there's the HMOs that I mentioned. In our region, most everyone uses Empire. We don't have much with very, very, very few people use the HMOs.
Because there's few providers in our geographic area.
Yeah.
Not because they're good HMOs, but we don't have providers here.
A rural area.
And can you just go back 1 second? For the HMOs, for HMO Blue, is that also just in New York State? Would those of us that are in remote states have the same issues that we're having now with the Empire plan?
You can look at it.
I don't know that answer, but I can find out. HMO Blue.
Where are you, Christy?
Colorado?
Colorado.
Region. What region does that cover? Colorado, question mark. All right. Yes, I'll look into that.
Thank you.
I'm thinking it is only New York State, which is why they encourage folks to go to Empire. And I know there's issues with Empire, but we'll verify that.
Right. I think we all know this, that Empire is, we've had trouble with it. So we know that there's providers in New York, it says Arizona, Carolinas, and Florida, but maybe not so much in other areas. Non-participating providers are subject to deductibles and such. I did attach to the email the Empire plan document that shows the changes in whatever that was negotiated for health expenses for next year. So here, I actually debated taking these out because I didn't know if they were in that plan document. But this, you know, just mentions about what the deductibles, these are all 2018 rates because the 2019 are, you know, hot off the press. So those of you who have used the insurance a lot probably know these anyway. But these are here for a resource. I'm not going to read that. Co-insurance. Yeah. So the last bullet says that the co-insurance is reduced for those who don't make as much, essentially, is what they're saying. Salary grade 6 or below. Here's a chart for the out-of-pocket. Again, 2018. I'm not sure what the changes are for 19, but this is 2018. And then HMO. Oh, there we go. Look at HMO Blue. There's the counties that it serves. So it sure does look like it's New York and not even Delaware County. And that's, you know, why we don't have many people here. But I guess that's your answer. Referrals. I actually called about something. HMOs require referrals, but the Empire plan is a little more lax with those kind of things. All right, co-payments, again, you have a copy of this PowerPoint, so there's probably other things that are more worthy of discussion than these. This is a reference for you. Prescription drug, it goes along with either Empire plan or, you know, the HMO, whatever. There is a prescription coverage as well. Again, it's the same 42-day waiting period. And here, actually, it says the cost, it's 84 to 88% or 69 to 73 is what the New York State is paying towards our health insurance premium. So as you can see, we're paying a very small percentage of what the whole cost is. So if we were to go into a whole full pay situation, it would cost us a lot more. And then here's the copay kind of thing. If you have, you know, maintenance drugs and you have the ability to get a 90-day supply as opposed to a 30-day supply, as you can see, it would be worth your while to do so. The co-pays for a 90-day are very similar to the 30-day, and you get 3 months worth,
The mail order.
right?
Mail order is best,
Or-
better than going to the pharmacy or.
Well, it says the second bullet or whatever says network pharmacy, 31 to 90 day. So, all right. These are the 2018 contribution rates for individual and family based on that one salary threshold. We do not have the 2019 rates yet, but it does go up every year. So, no doubt it will go up again. But those are the rates. There is no two-person. It's an individual or family, even in retirement. So it says about health insurance changes. They can be made during the open enrollment, or here we call it option transfer time. We have not been given the window of dates for the option transfer, although it is coming right up. It's usually November to December time. It might be November 10th to December 10th or something, but I don't have those dates yet. They have not provided them, so stay tuned. So if anyone is in a pre-tax, if they're saying, oh, I want my premium to come out pre-tax, that's where the IRS rules come into play, and that is why the changes need to be made during the open enrollment time. You could always increase coverage any time of the year. If you're enrolling late, as you can see at the second bullet here, there is a 5-pay period wait because it wasn't a qualifying event. A qualifying event could be somebody lost their coverage somewhere else. Previous coverage terminated is what they call that. And then there is not that 5-period wait. And then adding, to family, a newborn is there's no wait for a newborn, that kind of thing. So getting married is another event. So increasing coverage isn't as hard as decreasing coverage. If you are in a post-tax situation, you could decrease coverage anytime. There's no IRS rules with that. Let's see. Pre-tax premiums, I just mentioned that. So what a pre-tax premium does, if they're taking $100 out of the paycheck for health insurance, your paycheck might change by, $92 rather than $100 because it's pre-tax. So you save a little bit of money when you're when you elect pre-tax. Again, those IRS rules kick in though. All right, dental and vision. UUP dental and vision is through Delta Dental and Davis Vision. It is free to the employee and the employee's family. It's administered through the UUP benefit fund. There is the waiting period, the same as with the medical.
But so just so I understand, dental and vision is free to UUP members and UUP non-members.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're part of the union or chose to opt out of the union, you're still covered under dental and vision.
Right, it's a state benefit. It's just administered through the union. So it's not exclusively for union members. It's anyone who is working under the UUP contract. So it's that bargaining unit, the UUP bargaining unit, not necessarily a union member. So here it says union sponsored optional insurance. So in this one, this would be, the union is saying, oh, if you want to buy life insurance or disability insurance or long-term care insurance or whatever, you can do it through us. And we've worked with these vendors and can get you maybe better rates, I don't know. But this would be for those who are members. It would be a UUP sponsored thing. So you need to be a union. You must join the union to participate, as bullet number 2 shows. So those are benefits that are available to union members.
And you have a link to those at the end, don't you?
I think I do. I can't remember.
It's on the UUP benefits site. If you go under UUP and then go to the benefits site, they will show you any optional benefits that you have access to.
Right. Flexible spending is, some people call it the health savings account kind of thing. That's what the first one, there's 2 pieces to it. There's dependent care and there's the healthcare spending. Actually, open enrollment for flex spending is right now. It ends, I don't know, in November. I can't remember exactly the date. It's in the early teens of November. Delhi today, I put announcements in there all the time when these things come up, so please stay tuned to that. Often the HR announcements are towards the bottom, so don't give up when you're halfway down because there might be something important there. But anyway, the flex spending has that two different pieces, the dependent care and then the healthcare spending. With dependent care, the state of New York actually does provide some money towards child care or dependent care. It could be elder dependent care too, so there's lots of rules around this. And it's all online, and there's a link for that. On the benefits matrix, if you open up the benefits matrix, each of the titles of the benefits are hyperlinks that are clickable. So when you see the flex spending, it is a hyperlink. You could click right on there and get to the site and get all the information that you need to enroll or your questions answered.
Hi, Mary or Ruth. I had read somewhere that they were talking about maybe in 2019 having a debit card for flex spending. Have you heard any more about that?
I have not heard anything about that. However, flex spending, you enroll online, and it's not, it doesn't go through our office really at all. So I might not hear about that is really where I'm going. It may still be, coming, but I am not aware of it.
Yeah, I've heard them talk about that for some time now, actually, and so I will look into it.
Okay, great, thanks.
Because I don't know if it's just the state of New York plans that don't have that, but I think there are debit. I think some colleagues of mine at other locations do have such a debit card. So private colleges. So let's look into that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Flex spending, just caution. It's a use it or lose it type of thing. You need to submit receipts by, usually March of the following year, and sometimes if they don't accept your receipts, you could lose. So just be very, very aware of that and be sure that you keep your receipts. And for childcare, for example, the people need Social Security numbers and all that, so it couldn't be an under the table situation that you expect to be reimbursed for. So here's the health spending. They must be used for expenses incurred during that plan year. Yeah, in 2019, it's going up a little bit. No reimbursement can be made prior to the service actually being provided. So lots of rules. It is a tax, tax-free dollars, they say, so there's a benefit there. There we go, use it or lose it right there. And then you can't use the federal tax credit and the dependent care account for the same expenses. It would have to be different expenses. Claims are due by March 31st. Enrollment is within the 60 days of hire or an event. So having a newborn is an event. Enrolling a child in daycare who was never enrolled before is an event. Annual enrollment period is now. Retiree health insurance, we did speak about this a little bit earlier, must have been NISHIP eligible for a minimum of 10 years. So that means NISHIP eligible. It doesn't mean that you have to have been enrolled in it. You need to be NISHIP eligible. Even being a dependent on somebody else's plan is indeed NISHIP eligible. You must be retirement age and eligible to retire from a retirement system. So those are the two requirements. NISHIP eligible for 10 years and age eligible and eligible to retire from a retirement system.
And be enrolled?
Enrolled in what?
Do you have to be enrolled in health insurance at the time?
Oh, enrolled at the time you retire.
At the time you retire.
Not previously, but you
But
have
at
to
the time.
like on your day of retirement. Yep. Spouse and family may be covered on retiree insurance. Changes can be made once in a 12-month period. And here are the rates for 2018. Again, we don't have the 2019 rates yet. but they do go up. So one of the questions that was posed to us is, how do we know all these things about retirement? And I would recommend that you schedule a meeting with me, even if it's a phone meeting. I've done a few of those as well. I did create a frequently asked questions document for retirement because there's so much to know about retirement. I did share that frequently asked questions document in the email, so you each should have that as well. But it speaks to all of these things, not only health insurance. I mentioned Medicare and how they work together about the single and dual annuitant that we spoke about earlier. When it comes to the sick leave, I run your sick leave calculator for you so you know what it is. And dental and vision is not available in retirement. It ends. There's a 28-day run out or something like that, but they will offer COBRA for that, which is good for 36 months. Depending on how old you are when you retire, probably not long enough, 36 months, but it's something to get you through, and so you can figure out how you're going to get that covered later. On the frequently asked questions document, I also mentioned the survivor benefits. I think I'm going to go into that later because I see on the screen we're talking more about the retiree health and stuff.
We have about 8 minutes. But how you say folks can set up an appointment with you if they think about retirement? How far in advance should they contact you? Months?
Yeah, I would say probably 3 months. That's what I would recommend.
At least 3 months in advance. I mean, the more you know, the better you are, right? And you can not only speak with Ruth, but you can set up appointments with ERS or TRS, and we encourage that. It's jumping off is a big step, and the more informed you are, the better we are. So we want to meet with Ruth, go over these things, and then she'll encourage you also to meet with the private vendors, ERS, TRS, TI Craft, to make sure and keep coming back as many times as you want when we offer trainings, because sometimes it's foreign and you'll become more comfortable with the language and the conditions. So we love to see folks coming back to these training programs.
So on the bottom here, it talks about Medicare, and I know that you're not really ready for Medicare yet, but paying for Part B. When you become Medicare eligible and you have your Empire or NISHIP health insurance, you already have prescription coverage with Empire, and the Empire premium does not go down when you have Medicare. So what Empire does in lieu of that, Part B costs money. Part A is free. Part B this year, for most people, it is income dependent, but for most people, it costs about $134 a month. NISHIP will reimburse you that $134 a month, so that they're covering that for you. And then Part D, Medicare Part D is the prescription plan, and Medicare has a rule that you can only have one Medicare Part D. And sometimes they call it the Advantage Plan, and it might be sold by private, like Fidelis or, a private company. But if you enroll in Medicare Part D, Medicare's rules say you can only have one Part D, and it will, in effect, cancel your Empire. So you would never, ever, ever want to enroll in Medicare Part D when you have Empire.
Make a note of that.
That's something that we go over at the retirement meetings, and I circle it and put a star in the margin, and that's a really important piece.
Right, because because you'll start getting, as we go up there in age, we start getting solicitations from AARP and different groups wanting you to sign up. So
right,
don't. You'll lose your Empire plan. And if you are retired and you're not sure, you can still call us. You have less than 5 minutes.
I have another question about that. So if you're Medicare eligible and still working, you have Medicare, you have Empire Plan as your primary while you're still working, and Medicare is your secondary.
Correct.
So Does Medicare pick up what Empire Plan denies, especially for those of us who are in states with a lot of an issue with in-network providers? Do you know that?
I don't know that, but you are correct that as long as you're working, Empire is your primary. You know, even if you're 75 years old, Empire will be your primary if you're still working.
How about if you're working part-time and not full-time?
If you're working, Empire is your primary. As long as you're working, Empire is your primary. So that means that you don't need to be in Part B while you're working, only Part A while you're working. Once you retire, you'll get into Part B, and that's the one that costs you money. Empire, Medicare Part B. You don't need Part B as long as you're working because Empire is your primary.
We'll try to get that other answer, though.
That would be great.
That answer is when Empire is no longer primary, will Medicare kick in and pick up what Empire didn't, correct?
No.
No, if Empire's your primary and Medicare your secondary, and Empire, you have a lot of out-of-pocket costs because you are forced to go to a non-network provider. Would Medicare cover those costs as your secondary?
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know. Empire primary.
we'll see if we can get an answer.
We're taking notes. All
Good
right,
question.
so there's where you're asking about your primary. If an employee resigns, retires from a full-time position, balance of contract is paid out. So yes, there's a calculation that is done when anybody resigns or retires. And if they had a contract period of 9/1 to 8/31 and they leave 12/31, the calculation is based on what the contract salary was, the number of days that have been worked, and the percentage of the time of that contract that was worked, right? So what was paid versus what should have been paid for that percentage of time that was worked. So yes, indeed, balance of contracts are paid. That's a routine thing. Disability was a question. We talked about that earlier. Summer time and attendance is the same as regular school time and attendance, regular school year. Please make an appointment with HR about retirement. So we talked about that. See the retirement frequently asked questions. That has some great information in it. UUP membership does not impact TIA accounts in any way. In order to discontinue UUP membership, you would need to contact UUP, and I put the number there for you. These are based on the submitted questions. Okay, so here's the last best slide.
Right, and I'm gonna have to run because I have a 1 o'clock, but you're in good hands. Thank you very much. I'm thrilled, Jamie, that you offered or asked us to offer this, and we'll be doing more training as well.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, so this is kind of a cool thing. There's a SUNY benefits page that showed all these discounts, and I was thinking that maybe you didn't know about them, so I thought that I would put them on here for you. That Perks at Work, it has a wide variety of nationally recognized merchants and vendors. So, you could get electronics or toys or apparel or flowers or gifts. Some of the vendors include, or according to this, whether they're still on it, I'm not positive, but Best Buy, Brooks Brothers, Home Depot, Land's End, Lowe's, Regal Cinemas, Walmart, that kind of thing. So, check it out. I put in what the access code is. I actually have signed up for a couple of these, maybe 6 months or a year ago, Perks at Work and Plum Benefits. And I get emails in my email box, my personal one, all the time, like with discount tickets to Broadway and stuff. So it's really pretty cool. So the Perks program looks like it's really a New York State kind of thing, but the Plum Benefits is the one that has the discounts on tickets and hotel attractions and such. And then My Better Benefits, so I printed that page out. What is My Better Benefits? Oh, that's the one that had the cell phone piece on it. So that might be something interesting. And then it also said that they have discounts available for hockey games, football games, basketball games, movies, electronic repair, rental cars, hotels, etc. So, anyway, I thought maybe that would be something fun to check out. And then just resources. The full and part-time benefit summaries are here. Those were in the email as well. The health savings account and the dependent care account savings, those calculators that you can maybe guess how much you might want to put in there if you decide to participate. The NISHIP general information book and the retiree general information book. Oh my gosh, they are a wealth of information. If you have questions about things, these are really great resources. Retirement at work is how you enroll in voluntary savings, whether it's the Roth or the other pre-tax one. This is not the deferred comp one. I guess I didn't put that on there. I'm sorry. I can get that to you if you're interested. The Empire Plan report. These are the changes for 2019. And that's all I got. Questions?
I have a question about the disability policy.
Okay.
Is that an automatic enrollment, or is that something that's signed up and registered for or something? Or is every full-time employee automatically enrolled in disability?
Okay, so there's no short-term disability, it's only the long-term. So if you were,
right, you said that, okay.
right, so if you were out for 6 months or more, there is indeed an application, and then we would provide you with the application to enroll in that disability. And then there's a medical statement, and there's also an employer statement. So there's 3 different documents: employee, employer, and medical.
But that's when the occurrence is happening, not in advance, right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, Ruth. Actually, do you want to stop sharing the screen maybe so we can see each other better?
Boy.
It doesn't matter. It was just an afterthought. But my question was, do you know what the percent is for Tier 5?
Ooh. Percent for what?
For your monthly
Oh, I believe it's 3%. I believe it's 3%.
No, for the calculation, it's like times 1.03.
Oh, those percents. All right, so actually I have information booklets on each of the tiers.
Okay.
Let me think about this for a minute. 5 has its own booklet. So I can send you a link to that.
Okay.
Are you here on campus?
No, I'm not on campus.
Okay, so tier 5, got it. I'll send you a link for that.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Well, I'm sure you're going to have questions after you digest this because there was a lot of information. But anytime, really, email me. We can set up a time to meet either by phone or however it works for you. And if there's something that we spoke about today that you really want to go deep on, we can put something together for that as well. So just keep us posted, and thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, Ruth and Denise and Mary. That's been wonderful today. So
All right.
thanks again. All right.
Have a great day.
Yep.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Okay, so how do I